What's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and today we're going to talk about league winners. That's right. As Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game. So what are we doing here? We're going for second place? No, of course not. We are here to make sure that we get the fantasy championships on that mantle, around our waist, or whatever the heck they're giving away in your league, or maybe it's just pride. If we're playing for pride, we still want to play, we still want to win. So I've circled some guys on this list right here on my board that I think can help you win fantasy championships in 2024. Just to set a level playing field, no guys in the top 10, that's far too easy, but there might be some guys on that fringe that I think very highly of. So without further ado, let's get to the names of my top 10 league winners in 2024. Number 10, Jayden Daniels of the Washington Commanders, the new quarterback in town. What I like most about Jayden Daniels right now in single quarterback leagues is he's basically for free, and he gives you all that rushing upside of some of those elite fantasy quarterbacks. Now, what you're going to do here is also make sure that you draft another late round QB, whether it be a boring Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, or Justin Herbert, just for some safety because he is a rookie and there is still a learning curve. But the rushing upside and rushing touchdown equity is huge for him, and if you play him right or he hits the ground running right away, Jayden Daniels could be a fantasy difference maker this year and finish as a top 10 quarterback. Yeah, that's right, I said it. Top 10 quarterback, maybe even more, for free? Yeah, sign me up. In Superflex leagues, again, you might have to be a little bit more aggressive, but again, I like that upside when it comes to Daniels, and make sure you pair him with another safe guy too, just to give you a weekly floor. That's a great QB strategy in single quarterback leagues or Superflex this year. Let's go. Number 9, Christian Watson of the Green Bay Packers. Now, hamstring issues derailed his season last year and have been kind of the thing that's chased him since his college days, but when he is on the field, he is explosive, and we saw a whole new version of Jordan Love that we all fell in love with in fantasy in 2024. Now we have a situation where Christian Watson is getting that hamstring issue finally figured out all offseason. Apparently, there was an imbalance in the muscle mass, just like there's an imbalance inside my brain somewhere. But the good news is Christian Watson seems to be potentially healthier than he's ever been in the first 2 years of the NFL. In year 3, we could see the breakout with Jordan Love. When on the field, Christian Watson is by far the most explosive wide receiver and probably the best weapon this offense has. They're going to get him the football, and all the underlying metrics last year when he was playing were fantastic. So look for Christian Watson to bounce back, and considering how late he is going right now, that's right, wide receiver 42. This guy could end up becoming a wide receiver 2 or maybe a fringe wide receiver 1. That's how much talent he has in 2024. So sign me up for Watson, because this guy could win you a league. Number 8, Nico Collins, wide receiver of the Houston Texans. Nico Collins had a great 2023. In fact, you could call it a breakout. He finished as wide receiver 9, despite the fact he only played 15 games. And also, don't forget, the first 6 weeks of the season were pretty up and down for him. Once he found some consistency down the stretch, this guy was absolutely fantastic. He ended up with 1,200 yards last year, nearly 1,300, and also had 8 touchdowns. I understand Stephon Diggs is there now, and a healthy Tank Dell could muddy the field. But if anything, it's just suppressing his real value. Nico is the number 1 in Houston, and the fact that they've got all these other weapons means that Nico Collins has the opportunity to face a lot more single coverage than he probably deserves. That's a really good thing, and if he finishes again as a top 10 wide receiver, the fact you're getting him right now, outside of that and close to wide receiver 13, Nico Collins is basically a value, and I think a guy that can win you a league as CJ Stroud continues to wreak havoc on the NFL in his second season. Number 7, Drake London, wide receiver of the Atlanta Falcons. Poor Drake London. So many uncatchable balls throughout his career, so much talent, so much ability, so little quarterback play. But luckily, Kirk Cousins is riding in on his white horse to save the day and save Drake London's season. Already, ADP's been a little aggressive on him, but I still think this guy can win you a league. If you start with running backs early, looking at wide receivers after that, you could probably get Jalen Waddle and Drake London in the 2nd and 3rd round, respectively, easily, and all of a sudden, you're off to the races. Drake London has all the opportunity to, because really, Kyle Pitts is the only guy that I think could really fight him for targets, along with Bijan Robinson occasionally as well. But this guy has been a target monster since he came in the league. The only thing is quarterback play has been downright scary. That has fixed, and now Drake London can take off and become a superstar in fantasy and the NFL, so draft him and get excited about the Falcons offense. Yeah, I said it, the Falcons offense in 2024. Number 6 on our list, Marvin Harrison Jr., rookie wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, if you go back a couple years, DeAndre Hopkins was able to put up 1,400 receiving yards and a huge touchdown season with Kyler Murray. So, it is very possible that Marvin Harrison Jr., who is an outstanding wide receiver prospect, is going to do something similar in his rookie season. Yeah, that's right, his rookie season. This guy is polished well beyond his years, a fantastic route runner. He has speed, he's got hands, he's got it all, and he's also going to have his hands on more than just the football. He's going to have his hands on the majority of the targets in this offense. Sure, Trey McBride's going to get his, but we're looking at a guy who could easily approach 1,300 receiving yards, probably somewhere around 100 catches with the upside for 10 touchdowns. Yes, all of that exists. Why? Because this defense is still not very good, and the Cardinals are going to be a fair amount of shootouts with the rest of that division alone. So I'm looking at him, even though he is basically going as the 10th wide receiver off the board, I still think Marvin Harrison Jr. has the upside to finish as a top 5 wide receiver. That's how talented this kid is, and he could absolutely win you a league if you draft him at the turn this year. So go and be aggressive on this rookie. If you're enjoying this video, make sure you like it, share, and subscribe to Fantasy Pros. Don't forget to ring that bell till it goes ding so you know every time a piece of content drops here on the channel, so you are prepared to win your league in 2024. Next on our list is an old man. It's Derrick Henry, new Baltimore Ravens running back. Yeah, he might be old, but he's new to the Ravens. And the one thing that's old hat to the Ravens is running the football. So what happens when the guy who typically every year is in the top 3 in rushing meets a team that is always wanting to run the football, in fact, ran it more than anybody else last year in 2023? Good things, baby. Good things are going to happen. I understand he is 30 years old. I understand there's age. But as Derek Brown likes to say, this guy's built different. And Derrick Henry is. This is a special opportunity for him to take a lot of goal line touches, as well as you know the identity of the Ravens is going to be running the football. Yeah, so what if Derrick Henry isn't going to catch a ton of balls? Touchdowns matter, yards matter, and when you consider where he's going currently in drafts, he's being forgotten about practically as a guy who could challenge for a top 5 running back spot. In fact, he's being drafted as the 10th running back overall, and his resume is far longer than even half of the guys that are ahead of him. So I'm looking at old man Derrick Henry for one more year in the sun in Baltimore to show everybody and remind them just how great he is and why he's going to be a Hall of Famer someday. So sign me up for Derrick Henry this season because I think he can win me a league. The next name on this list is controversial, but don't turn off this video quite yet. Let me explain why Kyle Pitts, tight end of the Atlanta Falcons, can win you a league in 2024. Just like Drake London, Kyle Pitts has had some terrible issues with quarterback play. Now Kirk Cousins is in town, and this is the guy that made TJ Hockenson a rock star in Minnesota when basically nobody wanted him when he was playing in Detroit. This guy is the real deal. He is a generational talent in terms of the tight end position, and he can do more than just play tight end. He can line up in the slot, line up on the outside, do a lot of incredible things that most tight ends cannot do. The problem last year was health and, of course, quarterback play. Did I mention how bad the quarterback play has been? Patience, boys and girls, when it comes to tight ends. If you look at the Hall of Fame careers of Tony Gonzalez, of Shannon Sharp, of Ozzie Newsome, and more, it took them at least 3 to 4 years in the league before they became superstars, and Kyle Pitts, folks, is right on that precipice. This is going to be the breakout, and the best thing is, year over year, the price hasn't changed. It's cheap because people have been burned before, but I want you to love again, and I want you to learn to love Kyle Pitts in 2024 because I do believe he can be a league winner. Number 3, Saquon Barkley of the now Philadelphia Eagles. This running back still has something left to prove and a chip on his shoulder. Saquon Barkley knew exactly what he was doing. He went to the Philadelphia Eagles, a place that has a far better offensive line than anything he has seen in New York throughout his entire career. And call me crazy, but I think the 27-year-old has something left in the tank and something to show the rest of the NFL. And when you consider the fact that maybe you want to back off just a little bit of Jalen Hurts rushing the football at the goal line with Jason Kelce no longer there for the brotherly shove, Saquon Barkley could get some more of that goal line work. So when you factor in the offensive line strength, when you factor in the touchdown equity, the acumen for catching the football, Saquon Barkley has an opportunity to challenge Christian McCaffrey for that number 1 spot. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I think it's possible, and considering the discount you're getting him in the early second round, that's a risk worth taking. Number 2, Jahmyr Gibbs, running back of the Detroit Lions. Last year, things got off to a very slow start for Jahmyr Gibbs. People were so frustrated, they wanted to trade him away. They wanted to even drop him. What a disaster that would have been if you went that route, because basically, down the stretch, this guy was an absolute monster. He ended up rushing for 945 yards with 10 touchdowns. That's right, 10 rushing touchdowns. People forget that. He also caught 52 balls for 300 yards and had a receiving touchdown too. But that is just the beginning, boys and girls, because in PPR leagues, Jahmyr Gibbs could become an absolute nightmare for your opponents. Yes, David Montgomery's still floating around, but did I mention this guy had 10 rushing touchdowns already last year? Gibbs is another player that can realistically challenge for that top spot, and the fact that you can get him right now as the overall 13th player off the board is exactly the kind of investment at the turn I want to make. I think this guy can be an absolute fantasy points monster, so make sure you draft him early and often, because this dude can help you raise that championship at the end of the season. And number 1 on my league winners list this year is Anthony Richardson, quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. You're not going to get a discount on Anthony Richardson, but you are going to get basically a big lighthouse telling you when you can draft him. You'll see Hurts, Mahomes, Josh Allen, the usual suspects go off the board, then probably Lamar Jackson. After that, Anthony Richardson alerts should be going off all around you, because this guy could possibly break fantasy football in 2024. He plays for a fantastic offensive-minded coach in Shane Steichen, the architect behind that Eagles offense that went to the Super Bowl and just fell short to the Chiefs 2 years ago. Richardson offers incredible upside in terms of his rushing ability, his rushing touchdowns, and not to mention he has one of the biggest arms in all of football. Last year, we got a little glimpse of what the future could be with a QB2 and a QB4 finish in 2 of the 3 full games that he played before getting hurt in week 5, which, by the way, before he got hurt in that game, he was wreaking havoc there as well. This is a guy that could potentially really break out in 2024, and whether it's single quarterback leagues or superflex, I think this is a player you should be in on and making sure that you roster as often as you can. The upside is enormous, and when you realize too, you can also purchase cheap insurance policies later on in case it doesn't work out. There's no reason not to want Anthony Richardson. This Colts team is going to surprise. They made the playoffs last year, and that was without Anthony Richardson and a full season from a healthy Jonathan Taylor. If all the pieces around Richardson stay in place, stay healthy, I think Shane Steichen can take him to the next level, and I think Richardson can take you to fantasy glory in 2024. All right, there you have it, everybody. Those are my names, but I want to hear from you. Drop your comments below. You tell me who the league winners of 2024 are. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, like it, share, subscribe to Fantasy Pros, and of course, ring that bell till it goes ding so you don't miss any of our content all off season or in season as well. That'll do it for me, Joey P. I'll see you next time, kids. Now go win that league.